From the night of June 15th to the 16th, heavy rainstorms hit the northern part of Meizhou, Guangdong. The water levels in the reservoirs rose dramatically. On the night of the 16th, without any prior warning, the authorities released water from the reservoirs in Pingyuan County and Jiaoling County. This caused widespread flooding, submerging many villages. Residents banded together to save themselves, their faces wet with sweat and tears, unable to sleep all night. The villages were heavily damaged, with roads and bridges destroyed, making evacuation very difficult. Now that the floodwaters have receded, the streets are littered with furniture and debris brought by the water, leaving a scene of devastation. On June 21st, the aftermath in areas like Meixian, Jiaoling in Guangdong, Jian County in Anhui, Guilin in Guangxi, and Longyan in Fujian revealed extensive damage. Wow, the bridges are broken and the roads are impassable. The trees in front of the house have been swept away. What a huge flood.
Rescue efforts, free help. My wife and I are volunteering to help move luggage for free. These are tourists. Today, we finally got into the disaster area. This is my hometown. The houses are completely destroyed. The roofs have been blown to the other side of the river. The power of nature is unbeatable. The shops are ruined and useless. Many refrigerators and steamers have been washed away by the water. We worked all morning but couldn't finish the cleanup. This is the biggest flood in 40 years, and almost all the first floors are flooded.
Due to the Chinese government's information blockade and the inaction of officials, people had to rely on themselves for rescue. On June 19th, hearing rumors of a potential dam failure, residents of Jiaoling County in Meizhou, Guangdong, packed their belongings and fled, with rescue vehicles hurriedly moving through the streets.
What's going on?
I heard the reservoir is about to collapse. Some people say this is a natural disaster, but it isn't. The flooding was caused by the combined release of water from the Changtan Reservoir in Jiaoling County and the Yushu River Reservoir in Pingyuan. They released the water at night and only gave a 10-minute warning. On June 20th, disaster victims in Zhongchi Township, Wuping County, Longyan, Fujian, reported that after CCTV reporters took pictures the previous day, the relief work stopped.
Today is June 20th, the fourth day after the disaster. It's a little after 8 a.m. We're right in front of the town government. Yesterday, reporters from the central media and other places came to take pictures, but today they've stopped working. This is how they treat us in the most severely affected areas. The government is doing too little. We can't do any work inside because it's all smelly. This is the kind of society we live in now.
On June 19th, a post-floods in Shanghang, Longyan, Fujian was shared online. One sarcastically remarked, "Thank the party for its greatness and care. Without you, we wouldn't have today." The video showed an elderly couple covered in mud, resembling living statues. Such scenes were never shown in Chinese media. In Guangdong, the flooding hasn't fully receded, and now places like Guilin in Guangxi are also experiencing severe floods. In Guilin, residents used bathtubs as boats, no one went to work, and everyone focused on escaping. Tourists arriving in Guilin were shocked to find the entire city submerged in muddy water, with hospitals, bus stations, and banks submerged. I'm really devastated. I was at work and no one told me that it would flood.
This is June 20th at 6:50 a.m. The water level in Guilin has slightly receded overnight, but the Anxin North area was still flooded. People were seen wading through chest-high water with smiles, not as if escaping, but as if having fun, reflecting the Chinese people's forced optimism amid despair.
A group of people wading through chest-deep water with smiles on their faces. They don't look like they're escaping, but rather having fun. The people in China live with a sense of helpless optimism. Tourists in China can't go anywhere. They don't need to go to the Li River to take a boat ride anymore. The hungry and tired people in Guilin are fortunate to have kind-hearted individuals coming to their rescue. The underground garage looks like the sea, which might sound exaggerated, but is actually the reality. On June 19th, a female employee at a pharmacy near Jiaxiang Market in Guilin was electrocuted due to flooding from the heavy rain. A netizen commented, "Frequent heavy rains, yet our infrastructure is so fragile that it can't even ensure people's safety." The government shouts, "People first," yet ordinary people lose their lives in daily activities. This tragedy exposes the flaws in public facilities and the disregard for human life. Natural disasters combined with human negligence have become the norm, with people's lives being treated as insignificant. Safety and security seem to be mere empty promises. The southern floods have been ignored by President Xi Jinping, who would have quickly sent billions if this had happened in Africa, yet he does nothing for his own suffering people. On June 20th, at Nanxi Shan Hospital in Guilin, severe flooding trapped 1,200 patients and staff. During breakfast distribution, there was chaos due to insufficient food, with nurses clutching supplies to prevent looting. A netizen stated, "In China's system, humanity is repeatedly tested, not guided towards kindness. After the disaster, official information was delayed, and internal communication in the hospital was chaotic, leading to rumors and fear. In this information vacuum, selfishness and fear are magnified, with food looting being a surface issue rooted in fear and self-interest." The hospital's centralized power and lack of effective oversight and accountability were highlighted. After the disaster, there were insufficient material reserves and emergency plans, with no one held responsible, emphasizing systemic flaws. Absolute power leads to absolute corruption, fostering evil in human nature. In China's system, space for civil society organizations is limited, and people lack awareness and ability for self-rescue and mutual aid. During disasters, reliance is on the government, and if the government fails to respond effectively, chaos ensues. On June 20th, in Guilin, residents at Liuhua Road picked up food soaked by floodwater amidst the chaos. Continuous heavy rains and floods in southern China caused the Li River in Guilin to overflow, flooding the train station. Officials stated that the flood was the worst in over 30 years. Some interviewed residents said that the flood was caused not just by the heavy rain, but also by releasing reservoir water. Old reservoirs built during Mao Zedong's era are now sources of flooding. Even state media admitted that rising river levels were related to reservoir water releases. On June 20th, CCTV reported that the water level in the Li River in Guilin was continuously rising. At 12:55 a.m. on the 20th, the Guilin Hydrological Station recorded a flood peak of 148.8 meters, exceeding the warning level by 2.88 meters, marking the worst flood in over 30 years. On June 19th, CCTV reported that due to continuous heavy rains and the release of water from upstream reservoirs, the water levels in major rivers in Guilin rose rapidly. According to hydrological data, as of 5 p.m. on the 19th, the water level at Guilin Station rose to 148.5 meters, surpassing the 1998 Li River flood level of 148.4 meters, and marking the largest flood in Guilin since 1998. Mr. Wang, a resident of Quanzhou in Guilin, said on June 19th, "Yesterday, the water rose to about 3 meters deep, and the road in front of Shuinan village was flooded and impassable." Reports from Sina and other Chinese media on June 19th showed the flooding situation from Quanshan Bridge to Jingping Mountain in Guilin. The main urban area of Guilin experienced severe flooding, leading to the closure of several scenic spots, suspension of many bus routes, and school closures. Guilin railway station was flooded, with water entering the waiting hall. The Six Horses scenic spot under the Li River Bridge in Guilin was completely submerged and unrecognizable. Mr. Wang from Qixing District in Guilin told mainland media that this year's flood might be worse than the one in 1998. His residence is near a tributary of the Li River, and the first-floor shops along the street were already flooded, with the surrounding area experiencing power outages. Another resident, Mr. Ling from Qixing District, said he couldn't get to the city center. In the deepest parts, the water reached chest level, turning Guilin's streets into waterways, and residents had to use boats to get around. A video showed people attending a banquet at an ancestral hall in Guilin being interrupted by knee-deep water, forcing them to leave in the rain with umbrellas. Regarding the disaster, Guangxi officials only explained the heavy rain from a meteorological perspective, but the CCTV report mentioned the impact of continuous heavy rain and water release from upstream reservoirs. Mr. Wang from Quanzhou told Epoch Times continuous heavy rain took place all night the night before yesterday and continued during the day, leading to the flood. He also mentioned the issue of releasing water from the reservoir. He said there have been many floods caused by reservoirs unable to hold the water, leading to large-scale water releases. This time, reservoir water release is also a reason. Naturally, the heavy rain is a cause, with several warnings issued. According to the Guilin Daily, Guilin has 448 reservoirs. The four largest reservoirs upstream of the Li River are Fujian Reservoir, Changtan Reservoir, Jiaoling Reservoir, and Changtan Reservoir. Mr. Wang, who has studied Chinese communist history, pointed out that the reservoirs built during Mao Zedong's era have become sources of flooding. He said, these old reservoirs, built under inadequate conditions back then, have required continuous reinforcement. Strengthening the dams now costs several times more than their original construction. If a dam breaks, the downstream areas would be flooded. These hastily built reservoirs often become sources of flooding. In Anhui, the seasonal Meiyu rains have been intense, especially in Huangshan. According to China Weather News, by 4 p.m. on the 20th, the average rainfall was 11.2 times more than the same period in previous years, causing widespread damage. Walls collapsed, and minivans were swept away by the flood. In Chunxi District, the rainfall on the 20th broke records, possibly equaling or exceeding a month's worth of rain. The rain bands are expected to continue affecting Anhui on the 21st and 22nd, bringing more heavy rain. The beautiful scenery of Huangshan has turned into a vast expanse of water. The heavy rain has caused houses to collapse, and there are power, internet, and communication outages, leaving many people unaccounted for. On June 20th, local netizens reported that all the homes in the township were flooded, and some houses were directly washed away. Why is there no news from Chinese media? Currently, during the 3 summers period, summer harvest, summer planting, and summer management, China is expecting unusual weather. 8 provinces, including Hunan, are facing heavy rains, while 11 provinces, including Henan, are experiencing high temperatures and drought, affecting nearly 300 million people. Henan, a major grain-producing area, is expected to face a drought period lasting over a month. Reports indicate that parts of Hunan, Jiangxi, Fujian, Zhejiang, Guangxi, Guangdong, Yunnan, and Guizhou have experienced heavy to very heavy rains. Similarly, Heilongjiang, Jilin, Liaoning, Hebei, and Shandong have seen heavy rains or storms. Additionally, some areas in Shanxi, Henan, Anhui, Jiangsu, Hubei, Sichuan, Chongqing, and Hunan are experiencing high temperatures. Henan and Hubei have 5 national weather stations that broke the June temperature record. According to China Weather Network, surface temperatures in parts of Shanxi, Henan, Hebei, and Shandong may exceed 60 degrees Celsius in the afternoon, with some areas even surpassing 70 degrees Celsius. A representative from the China Climate Center's Meteorological Disaster Risk Management Office stated that 42 national meteorological stations in Hebei, Shandong reached extreme high temperature thresholds, and 86 stations recorded daily maximum temperatures above 40 Celsius. The high temperatures affected an area of 500,000 square kilometers, impacting around 290 million people. Since late April, Henan's average temperature has been 1.8 degrees Celsius higher than the same period in previous years, making it the second highest since 1961. The average rainfall has been 71% less than usual. Meteorological reports indicate that more than 60% of Henan's soil is experiencing drought, with most areas lacking moisture, affecting machine sowing. Over 3 million acres of land cannot be sown due to the drought. Latest drought monitoring data shows that in 16 cities, including Anyang, Hebei, Jiaozuo, Kaifeng, and Luoyang, have reached severe drought levels at 72 national meteorological stations, lasting for over 10 days. Since June 12th, Zhengzhou has continuously issued red high temperature warnings. In China, during a hot weather spell, a magpie was seen standing in the middle of the road with its beak open. A man stopped his car to give it some water. It is expected that by June 29th, the drought conditions and affected areas will expand further. Meteorological departments predict that Henan may face over a month of low rainfall and drought. On June 14th, a former head of the Flood and Drought Disaster Reduction Center at the China Institute of Water Resources and Hydropower Research commented, Henan has uneven rainfall distribution, experiencing localized droughts almost every year, and large-scale province-wide droughts occur frequently. Historically, severe droughts have almost never spared Henan. This year's drought is unusual in its timing, characteristics, and development. This drought has occurred during the critical summer planting season. Traditionally, northern China experiences spring droughts, but this year the drought is concentrated during the 3 summers period of harvest, planting, and management, which is crucial for the annual crop cycle. This year's drought is characterized by widespread high temperatures and low rainfall, developing rapidly. Temperatures across northern regions have soared, with continuous heat and no rain. More than half of the meteorological monitoring stations have reached moderate drought levels or worse, with areas of severe and extreme drought expanding. Whether drought or flood, the true situation is rarely shown in Chinese media. Some netizens have expressed gratitude to conscientious independent media for revealing the truth about current events in China. There's a saying that when humans act immorally, heaven will punish them. Today's China is filled with heinous acts, leading to inevitable consequences of public anger and natural disasters.